Hey guys, I just wanted to make a short video for my Micro Armor blog, just showing off some of my Micro Armor collection. This will not be my entire collection, but it's going to be quite a bit of the stuff that I've been working on lately, all the Desert War stuff. I also have quite a big collection of old Cold War type, European theater stuff, US equipment. So this is all going to be the Desert War stuff that I've been working on. And we'll start with the Russian-made hardware. I don't have very much because I'm mostly into the modern American stuff, but every once in a while I need something to shoot at, so I've collected a bit of Russian hardware for the Iraqis and things like that. Starting up here at the beginning is some T-72s, some in just plain desert sand color, and then a bunch of them in the camouflage scheme there. And here's just a few T90s. This collection will grow here pretty soon. So there's just some T90s. In this one here, I've got some BTR-Ts and also a couple of BTR-80-As. And the BTR-Ts, I've gone ahead and put the 30mm autocannon on them, on all of them, and I like that arrangement. So they're pretty cool miniatures. I hope this comes out pretty good on the video. And this one here is your typical collection of BMPs, 1s, 2s, and 3s. Most of them in just the desert sand, and then some in some camouflage there. And then this one here, I really like these vehicles here, the BMP/T Terminators. Got a pretty good collection of those in a camouflage scheme. So that's it for the target vehicles, or the Russian-made hardware. Now I'll stop the video for a second and I'll get out some of the American stuff. Okay, well, here comes some of my American hardware in no particular order. This carrier here is all Cougars, 4x4 and 6x6 Cougars, some Mark 23 trucks, a variety of Hemmets, including several 5-axle and flatbed versions, and even a 5-axle with a trailer. So I've got quite a few different trucks, some EOD vehicles here, and an old flatbed truck carrying a fire support vehicle there. A lot of these have antennas. They don't all, but most of them do. So I've been working on detailing these guys up pretty nicely. So that's my Cougars and Hemmets mostly in there. Alright. Next one up is M-ATVs, some Humvees, fast attack vehicles, and even a couple of M577s. 577s here, M-ATVs here, some Humvees, Humvee ambulances, some more Humvees, and then a bunch of fast attack vehicles, FAVs. Next one up, these are just some random M1 Abrams. Some M1, A1s, M1s, older ones that I haven't attached to any particular units. As you'll see in a minute, I've got some carriers, some tank transports here that have them as units, and these are not part of any units. So they're just kind of spare M1s, various levels of detail. Kind of same thing here. These are all Bradleys, M2 Bradleys, not in any particular unit, and they will be one of these days, because most of these are pretty modern Bradleys. And then the Marine Corps amphibious vehicles. Got some in the desert scheme, some in green, different levels of detailing on them, some of them with extra packs and things and coils of barbed wire, some with antennas. They'll all eventually have antennas, but that actually takes quite a bit of work to do, so that's kind of a work in progress. And this one here is all LAVs and strikers. Again, I hope the camera's picking up some of the detail on these. There's quite a variety of strikers and LAVs, the mortars, the tows, just the standard machine guns, the LAV-25s, some of the smaller LAVs with the tow, ambulance vehicles, command vehicles, a lot of them with antennas, a lot of them with custom packs and loads on them, all weathered. I do all my weathering with weathering powders, sometimes a little bit of black wash and even some brown wash, but mostly weathering powders. I like the effect of the powders. So there's a pretty good collection of wheeled vehicles there. Next one up, these are just some random M1 Abrams. Some M1, A1s, M1s, older ones that I haven't attached to any particular units. As you'll see in a minute, I've got some carriers, some tank transports here that have them as units, and these are not part of any units. So they're just kind of spare M1s, various levels of detail. Kind of same thing here. These are all Bradleys, M2 Bradleys, not in any particular unit, and they will be one of these days, because most of these are pretty modern Bradleys. And then the Marine Corps amphibious vehicles. Got some in the desert scheme, some in green. Different levels of detailing on them, some of them with extra packs and things and coils of barbed wire, some with antennas. They'll all eventually have antennas, but that actually takes quite a bit of work to do, so that's kind of a work in progress. And this one here is all LAVs and strikers. Again, I hope the camera's picking up some of the detail on these. There's quite a variety of strikers and LAVs, the mortars, the tows, just the standard machine guns, the LAV-25s, some of the smaller LAVs with the tow, ambulance vehicles, command vehicles, a lot of them with antennas, a lot of them with custom packs and loads on them, all weathered. I do all my weathering with weathering powders, sometimes a little bit of black wash and even some brown wash, but mostly weathering powders. I like the effect of the powders. So there's a pretty good collection of wheeled vehicles there. Stack these up over here out of the way. Next up is, okay, here's one of the unit packs. This is a M2 Bradley, Combined Arms Battalion M2 Bradley. Contains 3 companies, company headquarter units for each one, and commander vehicles. So each one of these is a company, so there's 3 companies in here, so they're ready to deploy. Then will come the Abrams company battalions. I think I have 3 of these. We're going to find out in just a second if I remember right. Same thing, 3 companies, headquarters and supply, and commander vehicles. And this one here happens to consist of all M1 with the Tusk kit on them, the Urban Survival Kit. This one here is another battalion, and these are also probably about 80% of them are the M1 Tusks, and then there's just a few normal A2s over here. The only thing really custom in here is the antennas, and then these trucks, a couple of them I've put turrets on the roof, 50 cals up on the roof. So then, of course, as if that wasn't enough, 2 battalions of M1s. Here's a 3rd battalion. I seem to be actually missing 2 tanks, so I'll have to fill that in. This is another one. They're almost all, they are all Tusk variants of the M1. And the last little unit over here is an M109A6 battery. with support vehicles. We've got the fire support vehicles, which are all ammo loaders, the actual howitzers. I've got all the guns elevated into firing position. I've got the fire direction centers, got the headquarters Humvees supply truck, and then company headquarters Humvees up there. So this is a complete battery ready to go. As you can see, there's eight guns in a modern battery. When I was in the Army, I was actually in the artillery, and we had 6-gun batteries, but that was back in the days of the M109A3s. That was the hottest thing going then. Now they've got the M109A6 Paladins, and they're doing 8 per battery. So there's a artillery battery ready to go. So like I said, these aren't all of my miniatures. These are just kind of, if I was going to a game today, this is what I would grab and take with me. Over here are some of my aircraft. Now I have lots of aircraft. This is a very small sample of them, but we've got a couple of Ospreys, a couple of B-1 bombers, or a unmanned combat air vehicle, UCAV, a B-2, a couple of 15s, A-10. I've got a couple other A-10s somewhere, I'm not sure. This one's pretty highly modified with the split flaps and all the loads and everything. My 2 F-15s have fairly detailed loads on them, and this one has landing gear. A couple of B-1 bombers, or a unmanned combat air vehicle, UCAV, a B-2, a couple of 15s, A-10. I've got a couple other A-10s somewhere, I'm not sure. This one's pretty highly modified with the split flaps and all the loads and everything. My 2 F-15s have fairly detailed loads on them, and this one has landing gear. I've got a few 16s, the Northrop YF-23, F-18, Harrier, a couple of A7s, going way back Phantoms, F-14s. And then again, some of my helicopters here. Not all of them, but quite a few. Got some Blackhawks, some Apaches, some scout helicopters. There's a Russian Hind there. This is an AH-1Q or W. I can't even remember now. I have a couple of these. I'm not sure where the other one is at the moment. And then here is the Tiger. And then this is a U.S. Coast Guard Dolphin I did. That is based on the, I forget what GHQ calls it now, but it's a Chinese variant of the Dolphin, and I just made it into a Coast Guard chopper and put the little pod on the side with the hook there for retrieving people out of the water. I thought it would just be cool as a Coast Guard chopper. No real use for it, but it was fun. So again, it's not everything, but it's just a few of the things I've been working on lately. And some of the aircraft in here are really old. Some of these go back about 30 years or so. But most of the stuff here is very new. So that's about it. Just wanted to show my collection on my Micro Armor blog. I'll take just 1 second and pan over and show some of the game boards, and then we'll call it quits for this video. Alright, well, real quickly before we go inside, I'll just show you a few of my gaming boards here. This is the town area, still under development. It's coming along nicely. And then the sort of the valley, the desert area out here with a little village out there in the middle. Those buildings are just sitting there, they're not glued on or anything, so they can be rearranged any way I want. And then one of the big mountains that's in three sections. And then this over here on this side is the other mountain, which is also in three sections. And these mountains can be put back to form one giant mountain.